Hello, everyone. My name is Anae Agostini. I'm CEO of CID Insurance Programs, and I want to welcome you today to our webinar, How to Run a Successful Agency in a Hard Market. I'm going to be your presenter today, so let's get started. As you know, with all of our webinars, you'll be defaulted to mute, but you'll be able to hear. But we want you to your voice is important to us. We want you to be able to speak. Just ask questions in the chat room, and then a short survey will pop up after the webinar, and we would also appreciate your feedback. And again, ask questions throughout if you have questions, and I'll answer them as we go. So what are we going to be talking about today? We're going to be working on understanding the impact the economy is having on insurance brokers and carriers. It's like what is the real reality, and it's always better when you look at that, you can actually work around it and find ways to be more efficient. And speaking of efficiency, we really want to take a deep dive on the efficiency of your agency operations. It's a good place to start. And then talk about effective operational systems that can better manage your new and renewal business. We're going to talk about learning or about successful ways to market for new business opportunities, which has been challenging, and then a little bit about exploring how to build your agency team, which is super important and has been difficult as well. Okay, so let's get right down to the basics of what we really is causing a lot of the headaches and has contributed to the hard market. How is the economy affecting the insurance business? And economic conditions and talent challenges, it really has affected insurance brokers and carriers, and created some major business challenges. Where is this really all coming from? Some of it is disaster related that has caused some of the hard market, but for the most part, the majority of it is coming from the economic turbulence caused by COVID, definitely big time inflation, and then there's a whole new social inflation that's contributing to the hard market. And then what is social inflation? It's a term that describes how insurers' claims costs are increasing above general economic inflation. So we've already got high inflation. Just think about where the claims costs are going up, and what's really going on. They really, it's generally thought that it's being caused by increased litigation costs brought by plaintiffs seeking large monetary relief for their injuries. So overinflated demands for large sums of money, and it's played out in the courts, and some of it is having a huge impact on the insurance company's bottom line. So that's one to be talked about. And it's a contributing factor in the insurance world, especially in commercial. It's affected GL and professional liability quite a bit, where there's a lot of litigation. The hardening insurance market, it's really creating a labor-intense process for managing risk placement. So you're definitely seeing, your renewal book needing to be pretty much, rewritten. So you're touching it a lot more, and it's creating a lot more labor for both insurance companies and insurance brokers. The talent shortage is also a contributing factor. There's been so much that's gone on because of COVID. It started with COVID. Resignations, people aging out, smaller inventory of qualified candidates is really a problem. Quiet quitting, which is really when someone just puts in the minimum amount of effort just to keep their job, but they don't go the extra mile for the employer. And then there's a large inventory of people, adults that are left that just left the workplace during COVID. So it's it's causing havoc on the carriers, and because they do not have enough experienced staff to manage and you know um, and deliver timely quotes. Um, we at CID are not shorthanded, but our carriers are. So quotes require more lead time to deliver what you need. So how can you excel during a hard market? Well, you definitely want to evaluate your agency's performance as efficiency is crucial to grow your agency. So you really want to step back because there's a lot of doingness in insurance. And when you're in the doingness mode, you're not able to evaluate the performance of your agency. So you have to step back and take a look at it, and you should take a look at it on an ongoing basis. You want to be sure that you're working with efficient industry partners, um, but understand that the level of efficiency, I mean, it may be different in a hard market, but companies like CID, where we've got a very seasoned team of underwriters and efficient staff with a lot of knowledge that can deliver quotes in a timely manner to you and help you um, submit a risk and and get it quoted and go out there and present it to your client and bind it. That's a team effort. Evaluating what it will take to succeed regularly is important, but it is just remember it's a moving target, um, and so your performance is will lead evaluating your performance will lead you to looking to see where you're winning and where you're not winning, and so you just have to keep moving in the direction of what it takes to win. And then we're going to talk about many tools that will help you achieve success. Okay, so let's start with your operations. That's um, and that's that has to be a fine-tuned machine. And some people don't take a look at it that way. Um, I wouldn't consider myself the most systematic or detailed person because my strengths are in other areas. But I have a great COO, Christina Cole, who definitely is, and she runs her operations very efficiently, and she runs them by system. So first of all, you want to take a look. You have to see where you're at first. So you want to take a look at where you and your team are spending most of your time, and that's going to tell you where you're out of balance with, um, because everything, especially when it comes to new business and renewals, you have to be spending time managing both, not just one area, not just customer service. So then you want to take a look at your actual systems. Do you have systems? And is everybody following the same system when it comes to renewals and when it comes to new business? There should be a systematic way so that you don't find yourself making errors or your employees making errors that are going to get you sued, and cause an E&O claim. You want to analyze that renewal process and your customer service efficiency because that usually is the area that gets um, overworked is probably the right word to say. And there are efficient ways to run it. And I will talk about some of those. Do you have a plan for new business production? You have to have a plan. And we'll talk a little bit about that as well. And then do you measure your results on an ongoing basis? This is really crucial to making sure that you actually know how you're doing week to week. Okay, so let's talk about some of these. We're gonna get into the systems, but the first place you want to look at is analyzing your book of business. You have to know where you're at in order to actually have any impact on changing your agency and making it more efficient and functioning better. So, are you, you know, what percentage of your book is commercial lines, personal lines, life, some people could throw health in there. Um, I I have found that the most profitable um, book of business is commercial insurance. It's the least labor intense service wise, and it doesn't. You really only have to touch it at renewal, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But the commercial lines is where I would spend the majority of my time. I don't I see life and health in a totally different world, and those people are usually specialists. And you may be you might be a farmer's agent where they're maybe wanting you to focus on a little bit of life, but I wouldn't make it the focus of your book. I would make commercial the focus of your book, especially with where personal lines is these days. It's probably better that you focus on commercial. So that the most profitable um, balance is going to be with a heavy focus on commercial and getting to at least a 50% um, commercial lines versus personal lines. I have a question. Does CID write anything besides commercial? Well, we've got some like 1 to 4 family dwellings. We've got some small products, but we really don't um, plan that. And we do write businesses in the home. Um, but that's about it. We just don't find that we find personal lines to be labor intensive, so we just don't go there. I hope that answers your question. But we write all types of commercial insurance, and so that there's all different types of coverages. And I think I have something that I'll show you a little bit later that might give you a better idea. Okay, so one of the systems that, and I know this is, it probably seems like, oh, the old Dale Carnegie or someone who's pitching a sales equation. But I've been around sales for more years than I want to say. But this is this equation works really well for in the business commercial business insurance world, and it's just simple. It's X dating, which is the beginning process of either a renewal managing by a list of monthly renewal dates, or by um, managing the X dates you've gathered for new business. And then you're going to get your quotes and make a formal presentation. And then everyone forgets this part, but you have to close. You have to do the follow-up, and you have to close the sale. And that's how you get the sale, whether it's a renewal or new business. It's the same equation. And you have to pay attention to all parts of it. Okay, so look at these two charts. There's two things I'm going to talk about. We were just talking about managing your renewals. And so we recommend that you manage your renewals by monthly. So you're going to print out a list of your X dates monthly, and you want to make sure that they've been issued and paid. You've been paid your commission, and the policy's been issued, and then you've completed that renewal, and that becomes the most important thing for managing renewals. It's a very systematic way to do it, and a lot of times you'll have at least 3 months in front of you because you're finishing up a month and you're starting a new month and you're working the month you're in. So it's interesting from that perspective. So if you don't already do that, that's definitely, and I think we may even have a template on our website that could be helpful in you being able to manage your renewals by X day, expiration day monthly. Okay, but I also want to talk about how to manage new business production. Most people, if they do it all, they're probably managing new business, taking a look at how you're doing monthly. Well, when you've gone through a whole month, it's really hard to turn the ship around if the results are not good. So we have forever, we we manage our new business production results weekly. And so you look at to the right side and it gives you 52 start dates. You get the opportunity to manage your production by week. And that way you are always seeing how you're doing. Sometimes it's going to be in your face, right? That you're not getting the results that you want, but it gives you that opportunity to shift and make changes and then achieve that success. Okay, so let's talk about commercial insurance production growth. You want to have realistic goals for new business production. And I know this is, you know, if you have to work hard, it takes a lot of effort to create momentum with new business X dates. And so you want to really be realistic about it. Don't go pie in the sky, but you really need to work backwards to see, what your close ratio, evaluate what your close ratio is going to be, so that you can really determine production um, percentage goals for agency lines of business. And so you're going to really need to look at, if your focus is going to be commercial, and you're going to consider personal lines and a little bit of life as secondary, just that an accommodation, then you're pretty much, your goals are going to be focusing on commercial production. You want to be looking at production growth versus policy in force. So there is this, if you only focus on renewals, your book is going to shrink. You'll ultimately go out of business because you will never be able to gain. Now, in a hard market, your renewal premium increases because in renewal premium is doing better than probably new business production. But that's it's an anomaly. It's here now, but on a general rule of thumb, you'll go out of business if you just focus on your renewals. So you need to be looking at your PIF, policy in force growth, in order to see whether you're actually getting ahead. You can see it in your premium, but are you growing your book of business by policy is really important. And then another thing to consider for new business production is a balanced policy premium site. We call it small, medium, and large. Smalls will always come in the door. And those are the easy ones you'll write consistently, but you need to balance your book up with some, just at least medium, that 5 to 25,000, and if you could pull off higher than that, great, because, obviously that builds your book faster. But you really have to pay attention to those renewals as they get larger premium, because everybody wants them. So things to consider. Okay, so let's talk about new business commercial marketing. You have to have a strategy. You got to put it to work. So as I mentioned, you really need to establish weekly sales goals, right, for new business premium. And here's the kicker. You want, as you begin to gather X dates, you want to implement an electronic filing system, so for your new business leads. So you're basically, Excel spreadsheet would be fine for that, to actually, and then you want to manage it, you want to sort it by X date. And you create a risk profile and notes, and gather up any additional information that you may have. Maybe they gave you the deck page and you gathered some additional information, but their policy isn't renewing for another 3 months or 4 months. And so you want to be able to have a file that you can actually go back to that insured and then contact them 10 weeks prior. So you're working 10 weeks out of the X day in order to provide efficient time in order to run your sales equation through with it, right? Work your X day, make a formal presentation, and do all the follow-up that you need to. And then you want to make contacts. You want to, which is meaning that your data, I call that data mining. or X-dating. And that's because you're actually following, you're looking for clients that you want to propose insurance to. And then follow the sales equation, as I just mentioned. And lastly, allow enough time when submitting for quotes. As I talked a little bit about before, it's everything is taking longer with the carriers. And so we don't want to fail for you. We just need a little more lead time. It's just in a hard market, the things that we used to be able to do, which is like, pull the rabbit out of the hat, put really fast quotes, is not as easy as it used to be. It may become easy again once we move out of this hard market, but it's going to take a little time for us to get there. Okay, so what kind of business do you want to focus on, especially new business that you're going to go after? Okay, what we're seeing out there that are classes of business that are doing well are restaurants, contractors, all types of consultants, people that are providing a professional service that need professional liability. And there's, COVID had caused a lot of people to work from home. That was happening with a lot of companies where they were actually terminating people and hiring them back as independent contractors. But COVID really pushed that people going into business for themselves. And so it's really increased the number of consultants out there. And then, of course, Main Street America is just, the staple. And a lot of carriers love Main Street America. So that's definitely something to consider. And Garage is doing really well and did really well during COVID. So consider Ready Garage. Nonprofits are still doing well. I have and then Allied Health, which is really all your assisted living facilities, home health care, miscellaneous medical. A lot of things fall into those two categories. So definitely that's a booming area as well. There is a question, and I'm sorry, I'm failing to. When you say CRM, if the question is, do you recommend using a CRM for prospecting? I assume that you're talking about a service that would produce leads for you, and maybe do some of the appointment setting for you, or buying lists. And you could just type in if you have a different definition for that. And I don't think that's a bad idea. However, I think that there's a lot of room for mistakes and the quality of those leads. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I would recommend you do more from a grassroots level rather than the services, but they are available. I haven't found in working with brokers over the years that the quality of those leads are as of the quality that you really want to have for an insured, commercial insured, in your book of business. I'm hoping I'm answering your question, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that as we go on. And here we are. So that you led me right to what we want to talk about. So recommended marketing strategies. This is the grassroots approach, and I think a lot of things can be done online now. There's a lot of groups that you can join online if so you want to maximize it, and you definitely want to use social media in resourceful ways. We've actually got we have a webinar on how to use social media that you will find on our website under webinars, recorded webinars. And so but from a grassroots standpoint, let's just say, you want to get involved with business councils and local associations. You want to pick classes of business and network with those, targeted classes of business, those industries that you want to go after. You want to sponsor local events. You want to network. with local business owners. There's all sorts of organizations that you can tap into in your local area, and maybe even your surrounding area. Um, okay, one more question. Follow up to that question, not leads, but a program that manages your prospects. Um, you could, you could. I Yes, you could, but it's expensive to go down that road, and it's a lot of programming. We had because it's all custom built, and so it just really depends on whether you can afford to do that or not. So I keep it simple. We have Salesforce. We spent uh, a lot of money. I'm just going to say a lot of money to have it programmed, and then it got even more costly to have it talk to our agency management system. And in the end, it became a useful tool for us. But and over time, all that becomes outdated, and you spend more money to manage it. So if you're not ready to go down that road, I think it's a great road if you're ready for it, and you have to be financially ready for it because it just keeps costing. It's costly, and I wouldn't change what we've done, but I'm just saying for a simple insurance broker agency, that you may want to consider starting with just a simple Excel spreadsheet. Or some people that have an agency management system can just print out an expiration list for their and for new business. That's for renewals, but for new business, some people can enter them into under and code it differently under your agency management system, and then print out uh, a a monthly report for your X states, your new business X leads that you put into your system. But if you're like with your farmers and you're looking to find a way to be independent, to write an outside book, you're going to have to create systems um, for everything that you do, and that's where a simple Excel spreadsheet can actually work both for your renewals and for your new, but separate lists, of course. I hopefully I'm answering your question. Feel free to chime back in if you're looking for another if I didn't answer your question quite right. So, how do you manage your commercial renewals? Treat every renewal like new business, and you have to take the time and you run that sales equation all the way through, because it's probably the only time in the year that you're going to be really um, in touching that insured. And relationships are super important, so you have to, and you need to do a good job at it when you do. So, as I mentioned before, you want to manage those renewals by a monthly expiration report. Calculate your retention and lapse ratios monthly. So you want to know, how much am I losing out the back door, and am I losing my first year business, new business, um, uh, uh, um, before it hits the 13th month, meaning it's renewed. That's even worse than having business fall off the books, that's older, that's been on the books longer, but because you've definitely got a lapse problem and potentially a retention problem. So you must take a look at that, because otherwise your head's in the sand and you have no idea where you're going. And then manage policy audits, because that's a big way to prevent additional non-renewals, because especially with workers' comp, they will cancel that policy if they don't um, manage if they don't complete the audit. And there are some GL auditable policies that are out there, and so you need to be aware of those as well. And then really important, ask for referrals, excuse me, at the time of each renewal. That's most of our business comes by referral, or due to our educational programs, but a lot of it comes from referral. So we take advantage of that. And then you want a competitive edge to achieve. So You want to concentrate on efficient client retention. You want to, and as I mentioned before, building strong relationships with a client. It's it really is important. It makes a huge difference. We as a small wholesaler, we spend our focus is to deliver, efficient, timely quotes and be knowledgeable and answer our phones and answer our emails and be there for you. There's a lot to be said about that because not everybody delivers at that level. Cross-sell your book of renewal business is also another way. You don't want to lose your book to another competing broker who's going to go in and sell them, what you didn't sell them. But because there's so many different coverages that are needed, everything's being bifurcated off, so that you have to buy a new policy. It can't be included on the existing policy. And then be empathetic with your clients. It's like we're all in the same boat together. So what are some of those coverages that we really want to pay attention to? The basics: property, general liability, but and workers' comp. Hired and non-auto, inland marine. You could work your renewal book by offering an umbrella, right? If they don't have an umbrella, you talk to them about an umbrella. And liability exposures are high, so most people, even by contract, are going to be requiring higher limits. There's fidelity. Just having employee dishonesty a little bit added on to the policy, their package policy, is not enough anymore because you need the broad form policy. So you really need to be aware of the computer fraud and the deception fraud coverages that are needed by companies today. So that standalone fidelity policy becomes important. By the way, we can write those for you. Cyber liability is becoming a requirement in most contracts, but you have to pay attention to it because they're likely to have a loss, and they're not going to be covered, and they're going to be looking to you, your E&O, to pay for that loss. Professional liability, your E&O, your directors and officers liability, employment practices liability, all of those, your E&O, errors and omissions liability are crucial to pay attention to as well. Garage stands out on its own, but there is Garage has its own unique policy form. And inland marine, as needed, that's usually contractors. It can be many other classes of business as well. So this gives you an idea of the things that you could cross-sell and pay attention to when you're working with your commercial insureds. There is a question: what's the fastest way to get supplemental applications? Are they on your website? Well, you can reach out to an underwriter, but they are all on our website under applications, and then we break it down by class of business and coverage, depending on where it's applicable. So if you go on there, it's really our website is great, easy to use. So I encourage you to go explore. So last but not least, build your agency team. How to find good people. So we build our claim to fame is we're near a university, and so we've been for almost 30 years. We've been hiring college students, and they're very moldable. You got to have the good attitude, good discipline, high grade point average, and we bring them in part-time and we train them. You really have to be a good trainer to your employees, and you have to be able to keep good people as well. And that's when you train them properly and you give them the support that they need. They're like sponges, and they do a fantastic job for us. And most of our team has been built over the years by college students that have been graduated and are now in careers with our company. Many of our underwriters have come from San Diego State, which we're close to. So this and how to you need to take care of your employees. You need to be good to them. You need to throw potlucks and just things that keep them enjoying. And you want to hire people with good attitudes, good behavior, that are going to create um, a harmonious environment in your office, that everyone works as a team and wants to achieve the best for the company. So that's my little 2 cents, because we do not hire from the industry. Just it's food for thought. We build from the ground up with our employees because we feel like we know the best way to train them. So achieving the results, streamline operations, develop those systems, establish a marketing production plan and budget. Budget's important as well. And then build your agency team, as I was just talking about, and then manage your results as you go. And it's those production results that you really want to manage because you want to know whether you're getting there or not. Last but not least, how can CID help you? We've got we're the broker's preferred wholesale solution, and we are fast and easy quote options. We have fast and easy quote options, competitive premiums. A lot of carriers that we represent. Underwriters are knowledgeable and experienced. We've got a lot of tools on the website. So we have marketing material that can be customized for you by class of business, by coverage, that you can utilize. We have proposal templates that make it easy for writing commercial insurance for you, because there's so many types of businesses that it's sometimes hard to know what. So having a template is easy. We've got educational opportunities. You're attending a webinar. We've got educational videos, and I'll do training, office training, and then focus on renewal retention and new business production. Focus on that PIF growth. That's well. Thank you for joining us today, and I hope you'll attend and visit our website and sign up for future webinars and go look at all the broker tools we have available. Have a great day. Bye.